So we're at Palouse Falls again, and it's windy again, but there's a couple notable differences this time. The first one is we actually have some decent light, and the second thing is we're camping because there's a lunar eclipse in the morning. I might have spoke a little too soon about the light being good today. The clouds are all kind of moving this way, and unfortunately this is going to be our background. So maybe we'll have some clouds move in before too long. Hopefully we will, but there's no guarantees. But the real reason we're here is because there's a lunar eclipse in the morning. It's gonna be happening at 5:30, which is before sunrise. That's the plan. We're gonna shoot sunset. We're gonna stay in the roof tent tonight, and then we're gonna get up extra early and shoot a lunar eclipse. We'll see how it all goes. Hopefully we don't have too many clouds in the morning and we can actually shoot the eclipse. One of the benefits of coming back to a place that you've shot a bunch of times is that it kind of frees you up to be a little bit more creative. Because I've shot here so many times, I don't feel compelled to take the big wide shot. I can kind of be a little bit more creative and artsy fartsy. So that's what I'm doing. I'm zooming in telephoto and getting some like abstract-y kind of shots of the different, you know, the way the light's hitting the basalt columns or the way the light's actually hitting the waterfall itself. And just trying to do something a little different, a little creative. I have the benefit of coming here anytime I want to, so I don't have to try to get the big epic shot this time. I've already done that, and I've done it in a lot better light. So it kind of frees me up to be a little bit more creative this time. And that's kind of the benefit of going back to a place over and over and over. I was pretty happy with some of the telephoto water shots that I got, but good light never really materialized, so I headed back to camp. So the eclipse this morning was pretty cool. The clouds rolled in just before totality, but I got a few shots. What I did is I took my 150 to 600, zoomed way in, tried to fill the frame as much as I could to get as much of the detail. Not the most compelling shot in the world, but still, lunar eclipses are one of those things that you just kind of have to photograph. But the clouds rolled in, like I said, which made for a decent sunrise this morning. I shot a couple different compositions, one in my usual spot, and then I did a couple vertical shots where the falls was kind of being framed by some of the cracks and crevices. But I didn't film any of it. I was too cold. Last night I absolutely froze to death in the roof tent because I didn't bring a heavy enough sleeping bag. It got down below freezing and holy cow, it was cold in there. But I thought it might be fun to edit a photo for you guys. So let's go over to the computer and we'll edit one of the photos from the trip. I'm so much warmer now. I've already taken a look at the photos, and I'm definitely liking the photos of just, you know, the kind of more abstract water falling shots. So I want to show you how important contrast is to editing photos like this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's one of the shots that I took, and I love just, you know, the way that the light was catching the water falling. Obviously I was using a really fast shutter speed in these shots because I want to maintain the texture. The main thing that a shot like this needs is contrast, and lots of it. Also, we kind of need to direct the viewer's eye towards the area of the photo that we want them to be looking at. In this case, it'll be these areas here that are getting hit by light. I'm just going to do a few layers of contrast. I'm going to do a levels adjustment here, and I'm going to grab this white slider and bring it over to where it starts to touch the edge of this histogram, and then grab our center slider and bring it to the right. And you can see how much more dimension our water takes on. And we can go pretty far with it and be super moody, or we can be a little bit more tasteful with it, something like this. Our shot's going to get really dark really fast if we're not careful. So occasionally we need to kind of rein it in. And the way I like to do that is grab a curves adjustment layer And then just grab this left side of the curve and bring it up just a little bit. And that's going to not allow these darkest areas to go all the way to black. So I'm going to do another curves adjustment here. And bring it in just a little bit. I really want to bring the eye towards these areas of water that are getting hit by light, but I don't want these highlights in the darkest parts to go completely dark and dingy. So I'm going to do another levels adjustment, but in this one I'm going to keep a close eye on what's happening in these highlights in our background here. I'm going to brighten those up. So I'm going to grab the right slider again and bring it to the left. But then I'm going to grab this middle slider and try to bring it to where the areas between these highlights that we're trying to brighten are remaining the same brightness, but we're just brightening up. So these areas here are remaining fairly dark, but these highlights in the water are getting just a little bit brighter. I think something like that. And I'm ignoring what it's doing in other areas of the photo. I'm only looking in areas like this and in this mist. So now I'm going to invert this layer mask, Control or Command I, grab a paintbrush, do about 30% opacity. Now I'm going to just paint white onto our layer mask in the areas that I want to brighten back up a little bit. Definitely want to brighten this misty area right here. If you zoom in here, you see that there's like some particles getting hit. I really want to emphasize that. And then these highlights in this area here I want to brighten up. I'm careful not to get any of this adjustment in this area because we're going to blow out our highlights if I do. So we're just brightening these areas around here. And by doing this, just these couple adjustments, you can see how much it's drastically changed our shot. I've probably overdone this, and that's okay. It's an artistic shot, and I think that this looks really cool with this amount of definition. The next thing I want to do is do an Orton effect to this to kind of soften our details a little bit. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create a merge visible layer, Control-Shift-Alt-E or Command-Option-Shift-E on Mac. I'm going to blur this layer, go up to Blur, Gaussian Blur. I'm going to blur it somewhere between 30 and 40 pixels. Then I'm going to decrease the opacity of this layer. Let's go down to about 20%. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a luminosity mask on this layer. And the reason for that is because I want my highlights to glow, and it makes no sense to make the shadows glow. Shadows don't glow, highlights glow. So we're going to put a luminosity mask on this. I'm just going to use TK actions to create this. So I'm going to create a lights luminosity mask, and we've applied it to this layer. And now I'm going to increase the opacity and add a little bit of brightness and contrast to this layer. That way it's not ending up too dark and dingy. Because what we've done here is we've blurred the shadows into the highlights, which is effectively darkening down our highlights, which is the opposite of what we want to do. We want to make them glow. So now if I turn this layer off and on here, you can see that we've added a little bit of brightness, but we've also kind of softened the harsh details and made them glow. Everything that we've done here was designed to draw the viewer's eye deeper into the photo and to give it a path. So if you look at this photo here, the eye kind of wanders everywhere because there's detail everywhere. But by adding a bunch of contrast and really making this area of the water stand out a lot, it's giving the viewer's eye something to look at. It's obvious what they're supposed to be looking at, and we're doing that just through brightness. And it's amazing what a little contrast can do to a photo. And at this stage, I feel like this photo is done. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Here are the photos that we got this week, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.